My name is Lena Carter, and I never imagined a routine business trip would change my life forever. I was 27, working as a marketing executive for a tech company in Seattle. The assignment was simple: attend a renewable energy conference in Honolulu, present our project, and fly back in 3 days. But life, as it turns out, had other plans. The flight was full, families headed on vacation, couples smiling at the thought of sandy beaches, and a few business travelers like me. I took the window seat beside a man in his early 30s with calm blue eyes and a friendly smile. He introduced himself as Ryan Matthews, a mechanical engineer from Portland. We exchanged polite words at first, the way travelers do when they know they'll share hours of sky together. He was easy to talk to, genuine, funny in a quiet way. We spoke about work, our favorite movies, and the places we wanted to see one day. There was no spark or flirtation, just the comfort of two strangers who unexpectedly understood each other. The flight was smooth until somewhere over the Pacific, when turbulence began. The captain's calm voice came through the speakers, reassuring everyone that it was just a rough patch. But minutes later, alarms sounded, lights flickered, and the plane shook violently. I grabbed the armrest, heart racing. Ryan looked at me, his expression steady, and said, "It's okay. Just breathe." Then everything went dark. When I woke up, sunlight was blinding me, waves crashed nearby, and my body ached all over. The air smelled like salt and sand. I turned my head slowly, and saw Ryan beside me, his face bruised but alive. We had washed up on a beach. The plane was gone, only fragments of wreckage floated in the distance. The realization hit me like a wave. We had survived a crash, but we were stranded. The first few hours were chaos. We searched the beach, calling out for other survivors. We found none. The island was small, dense jungle in the middle, surrounded by jagged rocks. No signs of human life. Our luggage had disappeared, but we managed to gather a few floating containers from the wreckage: bottled water, a backpack with granola bars, and a lighter. Ryan took charge of building a small shelter using palm leaves and driftwood. I helped collect dry branches for fire. Every task was exhausting, but we kept moving, driven by instinct and fear. That first night, we sat by the fire, too tired to speak, watching the stars shimmer over the endless ocean. "I guess we're not in Seattle anymore," Ryan said with a half smile. Despite everything, I laughed. It was the first moment of calm I'd felt since waking up. Days turned into weeks. Survival became a rhythm. Mornings were for gathering coconuts and fruit, afternoons for fishing and exploring, evenings for keeping the fire going. Ryan made tools from scraps. He was resourceful in ways I never imagined. He built a rainwater trap using leaves and bottles. He even made a spear to catch fish. We found a small cave near a stream and moved our shelter there. It was cooler and safer from storms. I began keeping track of days by scratching lines on a rock. But it wasn't all hardship. There was beauty too. The sunsets were like paintings, orange and violet melting into the sea. Birds sang at dawn. The air was clean, the ocean endless. We began to talk more deeply. I learned Ryan had lost his mother young and had grown up with his father in Oregon. He loved designing things, fixing problems. I told him about my dreams of opening a small cafe someday, a place filled with books and sunlight. "Promise me," he said one night by the fire, "when we get home, you'll do it." "I will," I said softly. We weren't in love, not yet, but something quiet and profound had begun to grow, a trust born from survival and shared struggle. One afternoon, a storm rolled in suddenly. The sky turned gray, the waves violent. We ran to secure our shelter, but the wind tore through everything. I slipped on the wet sand, hitting my leg. Pain shot through me. Ryan pulled me up, shouting over the thunder, and dragged me to the cave. We spent the night listening to the storm's fury, huddled near the fire. The cave trembled with each crash of thunder. When I began to cry, overwhelmed by fear, Ryan simply said, "We'll make it through together." The next morning, the storm had passed. The island was battered, trees down, but the sun rose bright and forgiving. Ryan checked my leg. It wasn't broken, just bruised. He tore part of his shirt to wrap it. His kindness was steady, unspoken. Weeks later, hope came from the sky. A plane passed far overhead. We waved, shouted, lit a fire, but it disappeared into the clouds. That night, we didn't speak much. Disappointment hung heavy. But then Ryan began telling stories, funny ones from his college days, ridiculous ones about his first engineering job, and I found myself laughing again. Laughter was our way of surviving too. Over the months, the island became less of a prison and more of a home. We learned which plants were safe to eat, which trees had drinkable sap, and where the sea turtles laid eggs. I grew stronger, tanner, more confident. Ryan taught me how to start a fire from scratch. One evening, as we watched the horizon, he said quietly, "You know, Lena, I stopped counting the days. I just live them." I nodded. Me too. That was the first time I realized I'd stopped dreaming of escape every hour. I still wanted to go home, of course, but the fear had faded, replaced by peace. Then one morning, everything changed again. Ryan spotted something glinting near the reef, a small orange raft, drifting toward shore. We ran into the water, dragging it to land. Inside were emergency supplies and a radio beacon. It must have come from another wreck or a rescue vessel. Ryan managed to get the beacon working. A faint signal pulsed. We waited. Days later, a helicopter appeared on the horizon. This time, it didn't pass us by. Rescue had come. The helicopter landed on the beach. The rescuers ran toward us, helping us aboard. I looked back at the island one last time, the place that had terrified me, taught me, and given me a friend I would never forget. In Honolulu, we were treated for dehydration and minor injuries. The news spread quickly, 2 survivors found after plane crash. Reporters wanted interviews, but I only wanted sleep. Before parting ways, Ryan found me outside the hospital, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Back to the real world," he said softly. "Feels strange, doesn't it?" I replied. He nodded. "Strange, but maybe good strange." We promised to stay in touch. And we did. Months passed. I returned to work, but everything felt different, colors brighter, noise louder, people busier. One evening, I finally opened my cafe, just as I'd promised. On opening day, Ryan walked in, holding a small bouquet of island flowers. "You remembered," I said, smiling. "I promised," he replied. Life went on, but the island was never far from our hearts. Sometimes we'd meet for coffee, sometimes for long walks by the shore. It wasn't dramatic or sudden, but over time, what began as friendship slowly turned into love, steady, kind, unbreakable. We had faced storms together, built fires from nothing, and found light in the darkest places. And that's how, on a small desert island in the middle of nowhere, 2 strangers found not just survival, but love.